Okay, welcome back to another video. These videos are for the Christians, the Stoics, the men who have stumbled upon the red pill, and of course for my son. I want him to have these lessons in case anything happens to me. So I did get a request, and guys, I do love the requests, so please keep them coming. I love being able to talk to you guys, but I did get a request, and I wanted to take some time to figure out my thoughts, and I did want to make that response video now. Can you make a video on how to stop thinking negative thoughts by rewiring your brain? I constantly have thoughts of unworthiness, which just kills all motivation to improve myself. A part of the reason is that I have had a very shitty childhood and suffer from CEN. I have to admit, I had to look up CEN. I was like, what does CEN stand for? I was like, this guy suffers from being a certified emergency nurse? That seems odd. But no, that's not what he's talking about. What he's talking about is childhood emotional neglect. And to be honest, I think I also suffered from that a little bit myself. I definitely did not want for anything materially when I grew up. But my parents most certainly were focused on their careers, their friends, their social life, and kind of just thought that the way to parent, particularly my father, that the way to parent two boys is to just throw money and pay for other people to do stuff. That's basically what it was. And I'm not saying I'm ungrateful for my upbringing, because I'm not. But I definitely suffered from some of that neglect. There was a lot of physical abuse. Well, I'm not going to say a lot, but there was definitely hitting and corporal punishment. We got hit, My dad was, 240-pound. He has huge hands, big arms, especially when you're young. It's like a giant who would actually hit you in the face or throw you across a room into a wall if you were the cause of his anger. And there were lots of things that he got angry about, to the point where, I'm in my teens, you want to call it, or tweens. Like, by the time I'm 10, 11 years old, my dad coming home at night, my dog's wagging her tail, so excited, but me and my brother are kind of like, let's go upstairs. Dad's going to be pissed about something from work when he gets home. And we would avoid him until we knew he was safe to be around. So I get the childhood emotional neglect, and I've also suffered from feelings of unworthiness when I was a lot younger. Not anymore. We're going to talk about some of those ways to get over it. But I definitely want you to know that you're not alone, and I appreciate you asking. Negative thoughts will pop into your mind all the time. As a Christian, I just tend to say that's just the devil. That's Satan. Satan is putting his dirty, wicked thoughts into my mind, and I say, be gone, Satan. Away with you, demon. Get out of my mind, demon. You know what I mean? Those kinds of things. I definitely want you to be familiar with that practice, and that is basically thought stopping, which we got from the Law of Attraction site here. It's probably a foo-foo website, but some of the stuff that they list here is actually pretty good. I definitely want you to take a look at thought stopping. Literally, the second you start seeing these thoughts or hearing these thoughts in your mind, just say stop. And if you got to say it out loud, say it out loud. If you got to just scream it in your mind, scream it in your mind. But get out of my head. I personally like to attribute this stuff to the devil, and I say, get out of my head, Satan. That's my Christian way of doing it, but not all of us are Christians, and I'm here to help out all the men. So, thought stopping, very important. Positive affirmations is another one. Let the thought, completely just flow, but you'll want to respond with, that's wrong, that's not correct. Like, man, I used to think, God, especially before I lost my virginity, which I talked about in a previous video, but I used to think that I would never kiss a girl. I used to think that I was ugly, and I was so wrong, man, so wrong. And this particular example is actually kind of like ringing true to what I just said. If you're working to find a new partner using the law of attraction and catch yourself thinking that you don't deserve love, you can say, I am a valuable, lovable person, and I will find a great relationship. Start thinking positive thoughts, positive affirmations. Over time, you'll build a muscle, and it will work. Enforcing boundaries is an interesting one. Let's see. If you've lived with negative thinking for a long time, you might think it's unrealistic to just suddenly expect yourself to change your approach. In this situation, even affirmations and thought-stopping techniques may seem to merely delay. This is the one where you are actually putting it off, like you're telling Satan in your mind, hey, I can pencil you in for 15 minutes on Friday evening. I don't have time for you right now. You literally do that. You tell your negative thoughts, like, this isn't the right time. I will allow you to come into my mind and fluster my brain for 15 or 20 minutes next week or over the weekend. And then by the time that actual time comes, you're not feeling the negative thoughts anymore, because they're not really coming from your inner soul. They're coming from an outwards evil force, I'm telling you. And he doesn't want to mess around and wait around for you. Writing and destroying is a super cool one. But before I mention it, it's very true to the technique of imagining your thoughts are a physical object in your mind, putting that physical object in an imaginary box, and then like burning the box or kicking the box over a cliff or tossing it over a window, something like that. Writing and destroying is a physical manifestation of that imaginary technique. You can basically take your thoughts, write them out on paper, and look what you've done through the power of writing. By the way, writing with a pen and paper is more powerful than typing, but typing works too. Write it out on pen and paper, put it down, and then look at it, and then just burn it or crumple it and throw it away. Like literally write and destroy. Pretty simple. Step 5 here, just because. You can also try to reason with yourself when you feel you are starting to spiral into negativity. This technique involves finding a sentence you can recite to yourself in order to acknowledge that you have power over your bodily responses and increase that power over time. Yeah, it's kind of like back to their previous step of positive affirmations. Like, just because I used to be scrawny and weak doesn't mean I'm going to be weak forever. Just because I've had a shitty job in the past doesn't mean my career is going to suck forever. And then you finally wrap it up with, say, now relax, and you do a little breathing technique. Guys should definitely look into breathing techniques. Probably have to do an entire video on that at some point. There are some signs that you grew up with emotional neglect. I don't want to necessarily read them all in their totality, except to read the bold parts right here. Like, so feelings of emptiness or fear of being dependent, unrealistic self-appraisal. That's the one that I always struggled with, like even to this day. Unrealistic self-appraisal. No worth for myself, right? Like just feeling like you're shitty. No compassion for yourself, playing for others, same kind of thing. Guilt and shame and self-directed anger and blame. Feeling fatally flawed. Difficulty identifying, managing, or expressing emotions. Like, this is straight sociopathic. If you had a really bad childhood, you might want to take a look at what a sociopath is and make sure you're not one of those. Although, wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So, you mentioned, you're feeling worthless, and I totally get that feeling. When I didn't have abundance mentality and had scarcity mentality, I think that scarcity mentality also pairs up nicely with feeling worthless. If you're feeling really good about yourself, you won't have scarcity mentality for the most part. You'll have abundance mentality, at least when it comes to relationships and with women. What I mean is, when you feel like you're a piece of shit, you'll take any girl that will kiss you because you feel like you're the luckiest guy ever because you hate yourself. When you feel really good about yourself and you feel like you're an awesome guy and you're a super catch and you're the prize, you are going to make women work hard to be with you, and you will be picky about which ones you choose to open up to. And one of the things I want to also say, and I know this ties back to, I think, a video I did yesterday or the day before, but if you guys are not lifting weights, please start lifting weights. And I know this is a hard time right now. Gym memberships are basically hard to get. Like, they're closed. The gyms are closed. There is such a thing as body weight exercises, also known as calisthenics. Start doing all the body weight exercises that hit all your muscles, particularly your quads, because when you work out your quads, usually in the form of a squat, you will release the most testosterone into your body because they are the biggest muscles in your body. That testosterone boost is not just going to have an effect on how you look, but it is going to transform your mind. And then eventually when the gyms open back up, get under an actual barbell and go do a strong lifts routine for 90 days. Stronglifts.com. I don't get paid by them, but I advocate that program so much because how much it changed my life, and it's free. So alternatively, if you have the money and the space, get a barbell for home now. I mean, I don't know if you guys know, but it's like impossible to order barbells and dumbbells because people who work out are still absolutely wanting to work out and they can't go to the gym anymore, so they're all buying home equipment. It's super hard to find these things now. But if you have the means, get yourself a squat rack. And better yet, spend the money to get a power rack so you can do the entire 5x5 routine for 90 days in your garage or in your house. You are going to be finding it impossible to feel unworthy about yourself if you are squatting 250 or 315 and you're deadlifting like 350 or 400 pounds. It won't happen. When you have a bench press that's over 200 pounds, when you're benching 225, which you guys can all get there, I know you can, unless you got a physical debilitation. But if you're all able-bodied, I know you guys can get there, and do what you can, guys, if you have a debilitation. If you're not able to do some of it, just do the ones you can do. I mean, bench press is you lying on your back. It's probably the easiest one for any of us to do, even if you have a back injury or something. But you're going to find it impossible to feel a feeling of self-worth or feelings of no self-worth when you are getting stronger and when your body's changing. And I want to ask you, my friend, when you look in the mirror, are you pleased with what you see? I am not trying to be rude or anything, but if you are over 25%, 35%, 45% body fat, like if you're morbidly obese, for sure that is going to absolutely have a huge effect on your self-esteem. You are going to need to get rid of any kind of obesity. All of you guys, if you're obese and you look at yourself in the mirror and you feel like shit because of it, that is the biggest problem in your life right now. Weightlifting will correct that, but so will a really, really good diet. Keto is a great one. Carnivore, anything low carb is gonna basically take care of that, and just stick to it and watch the fat melt off. Combine that with an intermittent fasting or a fasting routine, and your friends are gonna try to pull you down. They're gonna say, "Oh man, isn't that unhealthy?" And it's like, no, man. The most unhealthy thing is to be obese. If that is your problem, guys, correct it. That is a huge thing. And I think I'm gonna wrap this up with one more thing, and this is Romans 12:2's big secret on what you probably need to do besides everything I just said. And it's not coming from these websites, and it's not something that you guys may be aware of. I've just given you a way to physically and take care of yourself, with weightlifting and dieting to make your self-worth increase. I've given you mind techniques from that website we were just looking at. But there's one thing that I want to, give you guys that comes from me, but it also comes from Jesse Lee Peterson. I don't know if you guys are familiar with JLP. He has a 4-hour morning podcast. It is pretty religious, but it is awesome. A lot of guys call into his show every morning talking about stuff like this. And what is the one thing he always says, if you're not familiar? But this is where it really is going to apply. If you want to start correcting these problems of CEN, childhood emotional neglect, and you're looking for a spiritual answer to that, you have to forgive your mom and forgive your dad. And that might sound crazy. Like, why would I do that? They were pieces of shit. Fuck them. But it's not for them. It's for you. Once you forgive them, and I mean truly forgive them, you will be lifting a huge burden off your shoulders, and your life is going to be like, the course of your life will be corrected. You will correct course in the path of your life. That does mean that you do need to actually go and call or see your parents in person and tell them, hey, I forgive you. And some of them might be very aware of how shitty they were, and they're going to say, thanks. I was hoping one day you would tell me that. And some of them, like, I know some of them will be very rude about it. They'll be like, well, screw you. I took care of you. What do you mean you forgive me? Are you insinuating that I didn't raise you well and you're going to have to go down that path? But it's going to make you feel so much better once you clear the air there. They'll get over it. That is the other thing you really need to do. Okay, guys? So, hey, let me know what you guys thought about this video, and I hope to hear from you guys again soon. As you can see, if you put in a comment and ask me to do a video on something, I probably will if it's on one of these topics. So give me comments, give me feedback. I really appreciate it. And thank you so much for your requests, and I hope this video was helpful for you. Take care.